and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storm. Hashkivenu, Adonai Eloheinu. Hashkivenu leshalom. Ve'ha'amidenu shomreinu lechayim. Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha. Hashkivenu, Adonai Eloheinu. Hashkivenu leshalom. Hashkivenu, Adonai Eloheinu. Hashkivenu leshalom. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storm. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storm. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storm. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storm. Hashkivenu, Adonai Eloheinu. Hashkivenu leshalom. Ve'ha'amidenu shomreinu lechayim. Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha. Hashkivenu, Adonai Eloheinu. Hashkivenu leshalom. Hashkivenu, Adonai Eloheinu. Hashkivenu leshalom. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storm. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storm. understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storm. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storm. Hashkivenu, Adonai Eloheinu. Hashkivenu, Leshalom.
Denise, you want to shake a leg here? We're a finely tuned machine. Okay. Let me do Shabbat Shalom, everybody, and then we can begin, okay? Oh, this is a little tight. Okay. Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat Shalom.
Yep. Welcome to Temple B'nai Israel. It's good to see everyone here this evening. Let's turn and greet each other as we say Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Let's begin with a song of welcome on page 128, Hine Ma Tov.
שבט אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים. שבט אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב, הנה מה טוב. ירדאי, רדאי, רדאי, הנה מה טוב. ירדאי, רדאי, רדאי, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים. שבט אחים
On page 131, we will sing a new song to God, Shir Chadash.
Adonai, kol haaretz,
We turn back now to page 120 and 121 as we prepare to light the Shabbat candles and to recite Kiddush. And we're going to have Jennifer Allen and Heather Fisk lead us in Kiddush and candles. Let's all rise together.
Baruch
Whoa, I got
atah
them like the candles.
Einu melech ha'olam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu l'hadlik ner shal Shabbat.
Testing. The heaven and the earth were finished, and all their array. On the seventh day, God finished the work that God had been doing, and God ceased on the seventh day from all the work that God had done. And God blessed the seventh day and declared it holy, because on it God ceased from all the work of creation that God had done. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Amen.
Page 138.
Shabbat, Simcha Utsohola Tohemune Am Segula Boikala Lechadodi Lipat Kala B'nei Shabbat Nekabela Lechadodi Lipat Kala B'nei Shabbat Nekabela.
Let's turn to page 145 at the bottom of the page. Entrances to holiness are everywhere. The possibility of ascent is all the time, in not unlikely times and through unlikely places. There is no place on earth without the presence. Let's rise together for the Baruch Hu, our call to worship. If you stay standing after the Chad Dodi, you won't have that problem.
Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Boreyom v'layla, golel or mipnei choshech, golel or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Roll into dark, roll into light. Night becomes day, day turns to night. Ma Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto, Le'olam va'ed. Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto, Le'olam va'ed. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Please be seated. Let's continue on page 154 with the Via Hafta.
Please join me. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha B'chol levavcha uv'chol nafshecha uv'chol me'odecha v'hayu hadavarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam b'shivtecha b'veitecha uvleftecha v'aderech uv'shachbecha uv'kumecha ukshartam la'ot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot bein einecha uvtavtam al mezuzot beitecha uvisharecha leman hizkaru va'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'hitem kedoshim lelohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim lihiot lachem lelohim ani Adonai Elohechem.
On page 157 at the top of the page. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot together, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together. On the next page, Mi Chamocha. On page 161. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up waiting to do your will. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom, aleinu v'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim. On page 162, let's join together with Vishamru.
Israel et HaShabbat u'masos et HaShabbat l'dorotam berit olam v'shamru b'nei Yisrael et HaShabbat u'masos et HaShabbat
on page 165. Prayer invites God's presence to suffuse our spirits, God's will to prevail in our lives. Prayer will not bring water to parched fields, nor mend a broken bridge, nor rebuild a ruined city. But prayer can water an arid soul, mend a broken heart, rebuild a weakened will. Let's rise together for the Amidah HaTefilah, beginning on page 164 and going through page 170.
Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi yagid tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu velotei avotenu ve'imotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak Velohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel Velohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor V'Hanorah El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim V'Konei Hakol V'Zocher Chasdei Avot V'imaot Umevi Geula Livnei V'Nehem L'ma'an Shemo B'Ahava Melech Ozer Umoshia Umagen Baruch atah Adonai Magen Avraham Ve'ezrat Sarah Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai Mechaye HaKol Atah Rav L'Hoshia Morid Hatal Mechalkel Chaim Bechesed Mechaye HaKol Berachamim Rabim Somech Noflim V'Rofei Cholim Umatir Asurim Umekayem Emunato Lishenei Afar Michamocha Baal Givurot Umidomelach Melech Memit Umechayeh Umatmi Up Mishua V'ne'eman atah l'haychut hakol Baruch atah Adonai Mehayeh hakol Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh Ukedoshim b'chol yom yahalalucha selah Baruch atah Adonai Ha'el HaKadosh.
Please be seated. We're on page 173 at the top of the page. 173. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day, and may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat, page 175. Ever-present one, may we, your people Israel, be worthy in our deeds and our prayer. Wherever we live, wherever we seek you, in this land, in Zion restored, in all lands, you are our God, whom alone we serve in reverence. Baruch atah Adonai, she'otcha levadcha ba'ira na'avod. And on page 177, in the middle of the page. When we behold your heavens, the work of your fingers, the moon and stars that you set in place, what are we humans that you are mindful of us? We mortals that you take note of us. You made us little less than divine, adorned us with glory and majesty. You gave us dominion over your handiwork, laying the world at our feet. How majestic is your name throughout the earth. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha ulecha na'eh lehodot. On the next page, a prayer for peace, Shalom Rav.
Shalom Rav, Al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Le'olam. 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 V'tov be'enecha levarech et amcha Yisrael. Bechol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. Shalom Rav, Al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Le'olam. Shalom Rav, Al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Le'olam. Tasim Le'olam. Tasim
We continue with a moment of silent prayer and reflection.
Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu. Ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu. Ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu. Ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu. Ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru amen.
We're turning now to page 371 as our thoughts turn to our loved ones, members of our community who are in need of healing. Whether they are in need of physical, mental, or spiritual healing, we take them into our hearts this time of prayer. We're going to first join together in our first paragraph, and then we're going to recite the names of those we are thinking of.
Avotenu, Mekor habracha,
we are thinking of at this moment and wishing refuah shlema, a complete healing of body, mind, and soul, to Evan Ben, Laura Carlos, John Conway, Mark Edelstein, Benjamin Edelstein, and Brian Edelstein, Danielle Heyman Feist, Linda Fine, Eric Fisk, Bob Gold, Buddy Green, Vicky Haino, Kevin Harris, Lori Cattleman, Jerry Klein and Bonnie Brzezowski, Hank Corin, Wendy Sugarman Krosnoff, Stephen Levine, Dr. Sonia Linky, Michael Lynch, Elsa Mikos, John Parsonson, Ruth Polar, Jane and Jess Rifkin, Don Rolander, Rhoda Ross, Liesel Schick, Bob Seiler, Dr. Cindy Steinman, Pete Tanner, and Hillary Weinberg. I'd like to mention the name of someone else you are thinking of this time of prayer. Please mention the name out loud as my eyes meet yours.
Bill Boyd. Richard Prosick. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema. The renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
Okay, you can all. Thank you. Yasher Koach, what a beautiful job. If you have your supplement, your worship supplement, and you turn to the very last page, you'll find our Daf Torah. Parshat Chukat, snakes. Why did it have to be snakes? Reference? Thank you, Karen. Indiana Jones, exactly right. The iconic character, very famously afraid of snakes. And so this week, snakes play a big role in our Torah portion. And so what we'll do, we'll give the portion itself a little bit of a read, and we'll sort of talk about the different points of interest. Because it's a very challenging and very sort of fascinating part of our Torah. It has a lot of different layers to it. They set out from Mount Hor, meaning the Israelites, by the way of the Sea of Reeds to skirt the land of Edom, but the people grew restive, in other words, complaining and kvetchy as usual on the journey. And the people spoke out against God and Moses. Why? Why did you make us leave Egypt to die in the wilderness? There is no bread, no water, no grouper sandwiches, no fish tacos. No rum runners or margaritas, nothing good. We have come to loathe this miserable food. What is that miserable food? The manna, right? The manna is delicious. You know, a little coriander seed looking like that. It must taste like anything you want. They're not happy. They're dissatisfied with this manna. And they look back at Egypt. How wonderful it was to be enslaved and had the good food, had the buffet, you know, back there in Egypt. And so they idealize the past, of course, manna no longer good enough for them. So the eternal, God's not amused, and in a very different kind of chastisement, God lets loose the seraph serpents against the people. They bit many of the people, and many of the Israelites died. Seraphim are the fiery angels. So seraph serpents seem to be fiery snakes, fiery serpents. Snakes made of fire, maybe. Their bite caused inflammation, probably more likely. but it is a bizarre punishment not seen anywhere else in the text. The rabbis also say the idea of letting loose the serpents, the idea was that God was holding them back, holding them at bay. And so once the people reject God's help from the manna, they also reject God's help in protecting them from all of these yummy, fiery serpents. Okay, so the serpents are going around biting everybody. The people came to Moses, right? And they said, hey, this ain't great. Can you intercede with the Eternal and take these serpents away from us? And of course, Moses, Menshi guy, intercedes for the people. The Eternal One said to Moses, make a seraph figure. Okay, let's make a little snake statue here and mount it to a standard, put it on a big old pole. And anyone who is bitten by these serpents will look at it and recover. Just by gazing at this copper sort of bronze snake, they would be healed. A little bit like magic, sort of like a magic charm. And if you were lucky enough to go digging in Israel, especially back in the day, you can actually find copper serpents in the ground. You can actually find sort of these remnants of the superstition there in Israel. And so we have Moses making this copper serpent, mounting it to the standard, and then anyone, when they were bitten by the serpent, they would look at it and they would recover. Mazel tov all around. So the serpent, as I just mentioned, sort of became a little bit like an idol back in ancient Israel, leading to probably some cultic worship of the snake, as it was believed to have some curative, some healing powers. And actually we have some biblical reference in the book of Kings that King Hezekiah, learns about all these snakes, and he goes and he actually comes to destroy all these snakes. Yeah, Karen? Sure. Yes. Golden calf, not commanded by God. Serpent, commanded by God. Very different, very different. Though the copper snakes don't seem to have gone down well either, because later on they do become a little bit more of something to worship as an idol. Oh, yes, Adam and Eve, the serpent. We're going to get to that a little bit as well, in a way. But the idea of the snake, of course, being a dicey figure in biblical text, right? The snake's a little dicey. We get the snake early on. What does the snake do in the very beginning of the Torah, right? What does the snake do? He talks a lot and talks a lot of trash. He speaks some slander. He confuses, Eve to have Eve eat the fruit of the tree. And so just like the Israelites speak some nonsense here about Egypt, they are almost acting like the snake in a way. So that's one of the reasons why perhaps God uses the snakes here. Because that is the question, right? Why these snakes? The snake was the first one to speak slander and was cursed for it. The people also speak slander and they get bit by these fiery serpents. Not a lot of fun at all. So here's the question that the Talmud asks, and as we're sort of mentioning a little bit in conversation here, feels a little bit not so great. It sort of feels a little bit like idolatry. It sort of feels like magic. It doesn't really feel much, like true Israelite, Jewish religion. But the idea is that they mount the snake on the copper standard, whatever it is, and they look up at it. And they gaze upwards towards the heavens. And it's not really at the snake, but they're gazing up at God, right? And it sort of reminds them of their faith. That was the way they sort of squared this circle a little bit. And I don't love it either. But that's the way they sort of try to sort this out. So, if you look also on your handout, you will see, I gave you some visuals here on the bottom of the page. We have a staff here with snakes on it. And that would be the staff of here. Thank you, Karen. 10 points for Gryffindor. Very nice. That is the caduceus, which is not Israelite, but it is in fact Greek. It is the staff of the Greek god of Hermes, who was a messenger, herald of the gods. Usually it was related to commerce, to wisdom, but then there was a change around the 7th century that had this staff associated with healing, with medicine, probably because it was linked to alchemy, and so that's why it had this relationship. And it is still used today by different medical companies, pharmaceutical companies, and as you see here, the medical corps still uses the caduceus. So we look down one more. We have a different staff with a snake around it. Is that the staff we're looking at today, for the Bible? No, that's another Greek one, my friends. The rod of Asclepius, who was the son of Apollo. He is a healer known for medical craft. And you see here, the AMA and the World Health Organization still use the rod of Asclepius as their symbol for these different medical associations. The snake sheds its skin, rejuvenation, supports itself. And of course, a staff we can lean on for support. So the question that we have, who had it first? The Israelites or the Greeks? Who had this idea of the snake staff first? I'm hearing Israelites. Greece came later. Not bad, a nice idea. These civilizations developing. The answer is the Sumerians. Yes, the Sumerians, in fact, had it first. They had a serpent staff on a vase for their healing god, and so we get a sense that that's probably where it came from. There was also another sort of medical idea here. Egypt, 15th century, there were little unpleasant snakes that would be eaten by crustaceans, which would then be eaten by mammals, and then the snakes would, pop out of the mammals, and it would be very unpleasant and very fiery and very gross. And so they were saying the idea of the fiery serpent punishment might have come from this medical ailment. With all of that said, we still come back to why the snakes. This Torah portion shows us that the snakes have the ability to hurt, and they also have the power to heal. They can do both, right? A lot of it comes back to intention, right? Intentionality. And so to me, when I think about this portion, I think about there are things in our life that can help us and hurt us. It just depends on intention. And also, frankly, can be like all of us. We all have the power to hurt, and we have the power to heal. It's a question of how we want to live our lives. How do we want to express ourselves in the world? Do we want to go out using our energies for the bad, for negative energy, or do we want to come out and use positive energy that's healing? Do we want to do mitzvot? Do we want to do good deeds? The choice, much like the staff, is in our hands. Shabbat shalom, everybody. We're going to continue now on 586 with Aleinu. Judy, would you like to open the ark today? Do you want to come up and open the ark? Yeah. You can bring Jersey with you if you'd like. Betty Lehner, is it old school? We can go up together. Let's all rise together, 586. A little treat for... You're welcome. You can come on up there. Our handles on the side. You'll see. Walk up. And right there, a little higher. It's hard when you're here. Right here. I know, my goodness. I couldn't be ready to do this myself. Or the second time either. Took me a little while.
Aleinu l'shabeach la'adon ha'kol, la'tet gedula li'oser breshit, shelo asanu kegoye ha'aratzot, v'lo samanu kamishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, v'goralenu kechol hamonam, Va'anachnu korim umishtachavim umodim lifnei melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu v'ne'emar v'chaya Adonai lamelech al kol ha'aretz Bayom hahu,
Okay. Let's turn now to page 597. 597. Our thoughts turn to those who have departed this earth, our own loved ones, those whom our friends and neighbors have lost, the martyrs of our people, those whose graves are unmarked, and those of every race and nation whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. As we remember them, let us meditate on the meaning of love and loss, of life and death. We are in the Shloshim period for the memory of Bob Pizzuti, who was preceded in death by his loving wife, Carolee, member of our community, beloved by many. So condolences go out to his family. We also think of those who died in the past year. Jack Moshbitz, Jerry Bender, Solomon Bloom, Max Schmid, Louis Lederer, Deborah Nader, Ted Ross, Helen Roth, Ruth Jean Oberlander, Mark Infinger, Alan Beer, Judy Guy Strickland, Carolee Pizzuti, Elaine Miller, Judy Fine, Beverly Rosen, and Adele Daniels. We also are observing the yurt site this week of Milton Lester Banquer, Sylvia Barris, Morris Mike Cohen, Jean Diamond, Florence Donahue, Marta de la Calle Duarte, Neil L. Felmis, Dorothy Frisch, Noah Amos Giladi, Molly Ginsberg, Jean Ginsberg, Bert Goldman, Dr. Eleanor Gordon, Mark Herndon, Lena Hess, Marilyn Jacobs, Jerome Kipling, Ida Kosman, Jennifer Elise Kunkus, David Levin, Jack Moshbitz, Alice Martin, Izita Marie Gale Mason, Minnie Miller, Marcel Montrose, Simon Moore, Jean Noodleman, Joseph Ober, Alan Resch, Jean Shallett, Lawrence H. Schumann, Frida Siegel, Barry Silverstein, Wilbur G. Valentine, Natalie Ward Smith, Naomi Warner, Zena Wexler, Eric Wilk, and Laura Winthrop. Is anyone observing a yurt site saying Kaddish for any reason? We rise as one community for the mourners Kaddish, Kaddish Yatom 598. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divra cherutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, b'agala v'zman kari v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mivorach leolam lalmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitroman v'yitnaseh. V'yit hadar v'yit aleh v'yit halal shemei dekudesha barichu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tush bechata v'nechemata da'amiran v'yalma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chaim alenu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'imrumav Hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us, to Israel, and all of the world. As together we say, Amen. Please be seated. It's now my pleasure to invite up our temple president, Nina Warshawski, for a few temple announcements.
Shabbat Shalom, Temple B'nai Israel. Rabbi, thank you. Our trio over there, Heather, Denise, and Jennifer, and Eve, thank you so much for standing in for Cantor Orangel. We've got some things going on at the temple, even though it's summer. As Rabbi mentioned, on June 29th, we're going to have an informational meeting on our congregational trip to Israel, which will take place in June of 2022. June 30th at 7 p.m., we're going to have a membership committee meeting. It's our goal to do in-reach and bring our members back to the community after being gone for 15 months. And we also want to do outreach to bring new families and members of the Pinellas County community into our congregation. So if you're interested in joining the membership committee, please see me after services, and I'd be happy to give you some more information on that. July 2nd, we're going to be having a red, white, and blue Shabbat in celebration of America's birthday. Cantor Orangel and TBI Religious School alumni Jeremy Silverman are going to be participating. The Brotherhood's going to be cooking dinner beforehand. It's $5 for children, $8 for adults. You can't get cuisine as good as the Brotherhood makes anyplace else, and you can't get a burger for less than $10. So come on down. It's a Friday, July 2nd. And then Saturday, July 31st, we're going to have Havdalah on the beach. That's going to start at 6 o'clock. Come early, put up a tent, have dinner, and then join us with Havdalah. And then even looking further down the road, August 20th, it's going to be Friday Night Live. It's been probably 2 years since we've had one. The congregation, the sanctuary is going to be filled with music. It's a welcome back, welcome home to Temple B'nai Israel. We're going to have some fun after at the Oneg, so I hope everybody circles that on their calendar. And is here to celebrate with us. I want to thank everybody who's donated to the Torah Circle. We appreciate it. And those of you who are members of our Life and Legacy program who are remembering Temple B'nai Israel in the future, we totally appreciate that also. And I've been neglecting to announce it the last few weeks, but we do have a small oneg in the social hall after Shabbat. So Shabbat Shalom to everybody who's here. Shabbat Shalom to everybody who's watching us out there on the internet. Thank you.
Okay, my thanks to Denise for standing in with Heather and Jennifer, and to Eve, of course. Thank you so much for the music. The Cantor will be back next week, and alas, I'm on vacation. I will be gone, so we sort of did that alternating schedule thing. But it is, again, very exciting to have the Cantor back. That'll be wonderful, and it'll be great to see everyone upon my return. So let's have a little motzi time. We can take the challah. We can all rise together. Thank you, God. Shabbat Shalom, everybody, both here in virtual land. Shabbat Shalom. At the buzzer, a special thank you to Keith Warshawski for working our screens today in the booth. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. At the buzzer. Great job.
Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom.